Thank you for your description of the bill that's before us. Certainly, on a nuts and bolts interpretation, I think you're completely correct in the way you described the bill before us. And I've got to admit that I'm extremely sympathetic to what is being discussed here. In fact, I have proposed similar legislation in the past. But there are a few key concerns and differences from the way I would propose such a thing. And I guess what it boils down to for me is the sympathy that I have for the certain circumstances you just laid out, which is a case where someone who is truly a danger to society under our constitutional requirements, they might not actually be required to be held with a substantial enough bail to keep them away from the public and doing harm. And conversely, people that are poor enough that they can't afford to make bail. And this creates a disparity where some individuals who might be able to afford to make bail versus someone who cannot. But there's no real distinction between them otherwise. They may have committed the same crime. They may represent the same potential or lack thereof of danger to society. And that's not fair. We have a requirement in this country for equal application, equal protection. So I'm sympathetic to all of that. And I would like very much for us to come up with a bail reform plan that works. My concern about this is that this being a constitutional amendment, it is not the complete picture. It is only the, framework. And much like the early voting discussion that we've had on and off over the past couple of years, my concern there was we were offering the voters a choice between early voting or not, never telling them exactly what that meant. And we still don't know whether it's going to be, 5 days or 10 days or 14 days or what have you. And I just feel that in order to put forward something like this, you've got to have those details. My objection to this bill is what you mentioned in your opening remarks, Mr. Chairman, where you said appropriate implementing legislation. And the question is, I think that I would differ dramatically from the majority in what that appropriate implementing legislation is. That is captured on lines 20 and 21 in the proposed bill, where it says the General Assembly may provide by law procedures, terms, and conditions applicable to pretrial release and the denial thereof. What concerns me is looking at states like New York and New Jersey that have adopted similar policies and how the Democrat majorities in those states have used those as an opportunity to make a statement on racial justice, make a statement on equity, rather than a concern about equal application of the law or even equal civil right protections. It's all been about making a political statement. And Connecticut, I'm afraid, is no stranger to political statements by the majority on the subject of crime. I mean, we've gone through the last, 12 or 15 years with risk reduction credit program, letting violent felons out of prison early, Second Chance Society. I mean, and on and on. I mean, almost every year there is another bill that undermines our criminal justice system in Connecticut. And I don't believe we have a situation where there are too many people that are being held in prison, pretrial or otherwise, that are not truly risks to the public safety in our state. In my understanding, talking to people that work in the criminal justice arena, is that it takes a great deal to end up in prison, even pretrial. It doesn't happen for minor things. You've got to be kind of a career criminal. Everyone knows that Connecticut has somewhat of a revolving door criminal justice system. And I worry that if we enact something that may be well-intended, it is going to be co-opted for political purposes. And, it'll be used as a means to put less criminals who deserve to be punished behind bars and not less. I hear representative staff from even the governor on occasions tweeting that crime is down in Connecticut. And that's not true. Crime is not down in Connecticut. You can ask any one of your constituents. They will tell you that they are more concerned than ever about crime, car thefts, catalytic converter thefts. I have constituents who've approached me, told me that they're afraid to go to the ATM at the bank because they're afraid they're going to be knocked down and have their purse taken. People living in Connecticut right now are recognizing that our criminal justice system is not as strong as it was maybe even just 10 years ago. I don't want to continue to beat a dead horse. It's very frustrating for me because I see something before me that I think is the maybe proper path to take to achieve something that is more beneficial in our criminal justice system as far as bail reform goes, that applies the law equally. And I just fear, because the details are not here, that it's the General Assembly that is going to set those terms and conditions via what is currently a Democrat majority. I can't trust it. I just can't trust what those blanks will be filled in with down the road. And I've got to be a no, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.